Alright, it's time to bring you another video every single day on YouTube, dropping you guys videos about sneakers. And today we're looking at one of my all-time favorite shoes and what I consider to be the last great Jordan silhouette, the Jordan 13. After this, things got a little bit hazy. And we're getting into it today with a beautiful shoe called the Starfish Orange, but it's generated a whole bunch of questions, one of which is, why don't they just call it the Shattered Backboards? And there's a good reason why they don't call it the Shattered Backboard, and they're going with that Starfish Orange moniker for these guys instead of the Shattered Backboard. So we'll get into that question, why aren't they called the Shattered Backboards? But we'll also get into a really tricky question, very difficult for anybody to get the answer to this, but I'm talking about a 13 from the past that goes through this shoe and gets to a 14 that's coming in 2021. So a 13 actually from 2 years ago, 2018, and then coming to this shoe today that's dropping on January, I think it's January the 2nd that these guys go up, and then soon after that there'll be a 14 that links all of that together. So what that is, I'll tell you in this video as we take a close-up look at the Nike Air Jordan 13 Starfish Orange. This is the Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel です。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And this one today, like I said, it's one of my all-time favorite silhouettes, the Jordan 13. It's the last great Jordan silhouette. I'm sure there are others. There are some 14s that I do like, especially around about those Oregon Duck player exclusives, which are really fine shoes. But generally speaking, from 14 onwards, it's hit or miss. Every once in a while, a collaboration would come along and be like, yay. But basically, the silhouettes were a little bit disappointed from there on in. But the 13, like every single one of the colorways, are brilliant looking shoes. I love them, absolutely love them. I think they're great, iconic shoes. The last of which, in that run of Jordan lines. And to me, in my mind, and this is a strange thing, I'm talking about 2 years ago, a 13, and then this shoe that's tying it to a 14 that's coming down the line in 2021. And what I'm talking about is clot. Maybe you guys already know this, or you've watched enough of my content to get what I'm talking about. But when a 13 comes around, I always think about these guys here for two reasons. One is because it's a great shoe. The clot 13s from 2018 are a great shoe, not only in their collaboration, but also that feel for the terracotta army from China, and how they managed to get that idea, that concept into the shoes. And then here we are with the 13 today in a much more standard silhouette with the dimples and the standard color placement on the shoe. But in a couple of months' time, Clot are coming back at us with a very, very similar shoe to those 13s from 2 years ago. But in the 14s this time, it's got that same kind of terracotta army vibe to it, and the feel of that clay in the materials used in the upper. So this shoe just sort of bridges that. This Starfish Orange kind of always makes me go back to those 13s, especially because the Clot 13s from 2018 was the very first video in this run of non-stop videos, daily content. Before that, I never used to do daily content, but it was the Clot 13s that started it all. So then whenever I get a 13 to talk about the channel, it always makes me think of those guys, where it all began. And because of that, I'm also thinking of looking ahead to 2021 and those Jordan 14 Clots that are coming down the line. So that's that kind of funny little tie-up between those three shoes. But let's get more serious than that and talk about why these guys aren't called the Shattered Backboard. It would be very easy. And sometimes you do see orange, black and white shoes called Shattered Backboards like these right here. This is a Foamposite, and I think I'm right in saying it's a Foamposite 1, not a Foamposite Pro, but the picture will tell you if it's got a swoosh on the side, it'll be a Pro. I'm pretty sure it doesn't have a swoosh on the side and it's a 1, but they did call that Shattered Backboard. It's got a shattered effect to the design, and also that orange, black and white kind of feel to it. So then when we look at today's shoe, orange, black and white, wouldn't be hard to call it a Shattered Backboard after the 2015 absolutely iconic colorway from the Jordan 1 line. Can't believe it's been 5 years since that happened. But there is also a fixed and established line called Starfish Orange, and it's actually with Jordan 1s, but not Jordan 1 highs. We're talking about Jordan 1 lows and mids in that Starfish Orange kind of colorway. And again, it's still that orange and the black and the white going on there. So when the shoe comes out in that colorway, it's up to Nike, it's up to Jordan to decide whether they want to go down that Shattered Backboard route or down that Starfish Orange route, because they're both established. This isn't just like call it Starfish Orange, even though everybody knows it's Shattered Backboard. Starfish Orange is an established colorway at the Jordan line, and this is one of them. And it's fine for that, for the Jordan brand to call these Starfish Orange without calling them Shattered Backboard. So don't, get your knickers in a twist saying, oh, they call it Starfish Orange, but really it's Shattered Backboard. It isn't. They're two distinct things, the Shattered Backboard line and the Starfish Orange line, and that's where these guys sit. So to answer that question, why aren't they called Shattered Backboard? Because they don't need to be, because they aren't, because what they are is Starfish Orange. And speaking of that, let's get in and have a look at it. Now we're going to start with the suede on there, which is beautiful suede. Nearly said a bad word there. I rarely cuss at the channel, but I nearly did there, because it is really luxe suede on these guys, and it's easiest seen around the outside edge of the hologram up on the ankle. So what you'll be looking at here is that hologram with the Jumpman in it, and the Jumpman on top of a large 23 behind him, and all of that in a circle of green hologram materials, and all of that sitting within this beautiful luxe orange suede that really just elevates this shoe to a beautiful level. Every 13, really, every 13 I've ever seen has been luxe to me. They just feel like a really high quality sneaker, like there's more in the materials. But when you've got suedes like this kicking around in a shoe, you just cannot go wrong. But I do have a question about that hologram being in green. Now, I'm a child of the 80s. I was born in the 70s. I'm 44, so I was born in 76. But that means I grew up in the 80s. So I'm a child of the 80s in that sense, even though I wasn't born in the 80s. And holograms were a new thing to us as kids. And they were always in this kind of green sort of vibe. Now, I don't know if there isn't technology that could change that color or not. But I really wish there was. Especially on a shoe like this. It's so orange, white and black. Why can't they change that green out for something else? Maybe a deep kind of green orange would have been fine in there, or something else just to give it a bit more, I don't know, identity within the shoe, because right now it just looks like it's totally separate from the shoe, a completely different thing that doesn't even belong on this shoe. And it's the same on the outsole. I'll be able to show you a really bad picture of the outsole, because it's worth looking at for that little green circle on there, and again it just stands out, doesn't seem to have a place, even though it is standard for Jordan 13s. But also you'll be able to see that kind of panther paw print style outsole on these guys, which is kind of a classic outsole to go with these shoes. White, orange and black at play on the below there, as well as that green circle that just doesn't seem to fit with the rest of the shoe. But then when we get back up to the top, I'm going to look big at the shoe, and we'll come in and look at some details in a bit. But I want to draw your attention to two things. The outsole on the outside edge of it is wrapped in black, and then the top line of these guys are wrapped in black. It's not really wrapped or finished in black. I think that's really important to this shoe. White and orange are both very light, and if that's all the shoe was, it would kind of get lost. But because of the black on the top line and the black that wraps the outside edge of the outsole, it gives it a bit of definition, and then between those two you have the lighter orange and whites at play. And I think you can't underestimate how important that black top line is, and the black outside edge of the outsole is for these shoes. And then we get down into those dimpled leathers at on the upper of these guys. It's just an incredible design. I really just think whatever, why ever they came up with this design was just genius. It really is, and it's one of those sort of ideas that somebody probably came up with on the drawing board, and they're like, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let's give it a shot because we're the biggest sneaker brand in the world, and if it doesn't work, we just won't go with it. But you know what, they churn it out, try a few sort of samples, and it kind of works, and then you've got one of the most iconic silhouettes of all time. So thank you for taking a risk, Nike and Jordan brand, with this kind of design sort of technique, because it surely paid off. We've got one of the coolest shoes ever, and that dimpled effect that I'm talking about on the edge here is a great way to finish this video. In fact, before we do that though, I'll just drift up to the top of the tongues, and we'll have a look at that orange Jumpman on there, and let him be the last thing in this video, because again, it's that little hit of orange. The colors are really well balanced in this shoe, with the oranges, the whites and the blacks, not one overpowering the other, and you've got a very good balance between those three, and that creates our Starfish Orange effect. And that's enough from me today. I'm going to finish it up right there. Hope you appreciate that little walk through the 13s, and especially, you know, talking back to those clot 13s from 2 years ago and looking forward to the clot 14s. First look at those 14s, I'm a bit on them, but you know, we'll have a closer look at them and see if there's more to those than meets the eye, and maybe you guys can keep an eye out for a video from me about those not too far away. For now though, it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out the content, but the only thing left to do is to tell you that I do this every single day, and because of that, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.